Good evening. Welcome to the Joint Planning and Zoning Board and Board of Commissioners meeting January the 9th, 2024. I am Briggs Simmons, Planning and Zoning Chair. Prior to this meeting, announcements were posted, notices were sent to all board members, commissioners, staff, interested parties, and applicants participating in the meeting. I will now turn the meeting over to Bill Miller, Chairman, to introduce and present commissioners.
Thank you,
Chairman.
sir. Happy New Year, everybody. We'll do a little roll call. Mark Alcarez,
Present.
Ricky Dobbs, Vice Chair Carthen, and Phil Miller, he's here. So we have a quorum, sir. Turn it back over to you.
Also present, members of the Planning and Zoning Board, if you would confirm your presence, call your name. Our Vice Chair, Mr. Rod Thomas, Ms. Teresa Knowles,
Present.
Ulrich Curry,
Present.
Brandon Penniman,
Present.
Frank Payne, and Kirk Nicholson.
Present.
We also have a quorum, Mr. Chairman. Allison Duncan, our Planning and Zoning Manager, will now introduce the county staff, Planning and Zoning staff present at the meeting. Ms. Duncan.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight we have with us our Chief of Staff, Tiffany Stewart Stanley. We have our County Attorney, Michael Coleman. We have the Managing Director of Development and Planning, James Worthington. We have the Managing Director of Transportation, Suleiman Rana. We have our Senior Zoning Administrator, Phil Schaefer. We have our Senior Planner, Jaquel Johnson. We have our Planning and Zoning Board Clerk, Johanna Womack. And we have our Planning and Zoning Board Secretary. And as always, I'd like to thank our communications team for all that they do to run these meetings. We appreciate our sheriff's deputies being here with us tonight as well. Thank you.
Ms. Duncan. There is a reversionary clause that applies to each rezoning. That is, the applicant, agent, or property owner has 24 months to vest the zoning change after the Board of Commissioners have granted an approval. As far as tonight's procedures go, the Chairman of Planning and Zoning Board, me, will conduct all the public hearing. Planning and Zoning staff will announce each application, followed by a full presentation. The applicant's representative, and members of the public in favor of the application will have time to present their information. Each person will have 2 minutes, or a total allocated time of 15 minutes speak in favor of an application. Following that, anyone in opposition to an application will also have time to present their information. They too would have 2 minutes per person for a total allocated time of 15 minutes. Once the opposition has completed their information, we'll close the public hearing. At that point, the staff will clarify any points of the zoning case. Staff is unable to clarify those points, the board will ask them for information or ask the applicant to clarify the points. If so, this is not a time for the applicant to represent their case. Following that, Planning and Zoning Board will entertain a motion. Our first agenda item tonight will be approval of the minutes of December 5th, 2023 regular Joint Planning and Zoning Board of Commissioners meeting. Zoning Board members, after reviewing the minutes, or changes? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes of December 5th, 2023, please signify by raising.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from December 5th, 2023 meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. Do we have any discussion? Trying to expedite this. All in favor of a motion to approve the minutes of December the 5th, please signify by raising your hand. Unanimous. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Minutes of December the 5th, 2020. Zoning Board.
Thank you, sir. Just for clarification, Commissioner Dobbs is online. They're having trouble connecting to him. He's been deployed. He's in the Navy, a lieutenant, for you folks that don't know, and he's out of the country. But the law allows him to be a voting member. I think that's the only exception that is allowed. He is listening, but they're having trouble connecting with. Just for the record, Board of Commissioners, we have an approval by the Planning and Zoning Board for the December the 5th meeting minutes. Is there any discussion?
To approve the F-20.
Second.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed, same. We have a unanimous decision over here, sir.
Mr. Chairman, our next item on our agenda item is the Z 2023-71, S 2023-72, which were tabled at our last meeting. At this point in time, Planning and Zoning Board, do I have a motion to untable Z 2023-71, S 2023-72?
Mr. Chairman, this is Rob Thomas. I make a motion to untable Z 2023-71 and S 2023-72.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Or Curry, second.
Thank you, Mr. Curry. I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor of untabling Z 2023-71 and S 2023-72, by raising your hand. This is unanimous, Mr. Chairman. Unanimous recommendation to untable Z 2023-71 and S 2020.
Commissioners, do we have a motion to untable Z 2023-71 S 2023-72?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? We're unanimous.
Sir. Mr. Schaefer.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman,
Did we didn't have public hearing or anything on this last time, did we?
straight
Okay.
table.
Go ahead, please.
Good to go. This evening, we have a request for rezoning from RA, Residential Agricultural, and LIR, Light Industrial with Restrictions, to a LI, Light Industrial designation, and a special use permit for a data center. The special use permit is specifically for a power substation to serve the data center, located at 808 and 800 Factory Shoals Road, Lithia Springs. This will be the request for STAC to implement their two buildings for the data centers that they wish to build on the property that was rezoned some years back. However, in the interim time, there's a small piece of property that has come up, and they would like to add that 808, which is just a few acres, into the overall site plan so that they can have a more integrated site plan. I think it would be, rather than leave a little residential sliver out there in the middle of nowhere surrounded by complete industrial development. What we're looking at here is the proposal for a power substation. Under the code, the developer would have to get a special use permit because they're going to retain ownership of the land. Had Georgia Power come through and ask for a power substation, they would not have needed a different character. Their eminent domain allows them to go forward on them. Because the land is still owned by the developer, they would require a special use permit. We held a community information meeting on November 14th. There were no neighbors at that meeting specifically, and the size of the project did have a requirement to go back through the Atlanta Regional Commission's process for developments of regional impact. That was initiated in November. It has since closed, and final report has been issued, so action can be taken this evening on this. Under Article 2, this was our main concern, that we have power substations on privately owned land must request a special use permit. As far as the future of the property, the future land use map, along with our comprehensive plan, was recently amended so that this now falls within the data district as a character area, and the future land use map does allow for this use and this zoning, so we're good for those things. The Southwest Thornton Activity Sweetwater Master Plan, which is also a part of this project, resulted in us having the Quality Growth Overlay District implemented between the city and the county. So there's some elevated architectural requirements that go when you develop buildings or projects inside specific Quality Growth Overlay District. Here's a zoning map of the project, so you can see that the LIR above is already in place. It's just the RA sliver there that is yellow colored that requires the rezoning so that they can utilize it for the power substation. This is an aerial image of the property to show the two lots together and the buildings that surround it currently. Here is the site plan of the project so that you can see the two large buildings and the power substation along. This is Factory Shoals Road. Then I wanted to show both projects because this is also a participant. To the west, we recently granted a special use permit for a power substation for T5. That's to the left. The two substations are virtually back to back. That takes advantage of the power line corridor running up Factory Shoals. There's some economies of scale when you put these two things together like that. But these are the two projects that are going here. Here's some example of what a power substation would look like, along with the data center on the other side. This is not their draft version. This was just so people could get an idea of what a substation might look like. And then this is architecture that we have already looked at with T5. We're, in terms of the Quality Growth Overlay, we're very intent on trying to keep this a campus-like feel of office buildings in this Quality Growth Overlay so that these two projects would have some similarities in design and taste so that we have some uniformity between these campuses since they're going to be serving a single client eventually. So these are some examples of what we have recently approved for the neighboring project. Tasteful office-looking buildings. Here is a street view looking west along Factory Shoals. The project is going to be immediately to the right there where the mailbox is. And we reviewed the project against the zoning analysis for the rezoning, and it meets all of the criteria. And we've also reviewed it against the special use criteria for the substation. It does meet all of those criteria. And staff is recommending approval of the requested rezoning, Z 2023-71, with following findings. Use will not modify the land use plan or the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Douglas County Unified Development Code. And B, the granting of the special use will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. In addition, the special use is recommended for approval. Again, following findings similar. Use will not modify the land use plan or the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Douglas County Unified Development Code, and the granting of the special use permit will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. I am requesting 3 conditions. First condition is that any other use of the property not identified within Section 210 would require them to come back for another special use permit, if that's what is required. Number 2 is that the applicant must go to the Development Review Committee, submit their plans for review and consideration for all of the site-specific development and access management plans to address the development standards of the UDC and the concerns and requirements expressed in specific agency impact statements reviewed by the staff report dated January 9th, 2024. The third condition is what's been requested by the Water Sewer Authority. So I will back up just for a second as a larger explanation. Because the projects are tied together, they're data centers, initially when we spoke with T5 as well as when we spoke with STAC, they did not intend to use massive quantities of water to cool the computers that are running in their facilities. They intended to do a closed system. However, the user to the south has indicated that they will use water. And as a result, the WSA has indicated that they do not have, as part of our future growth in the county normally, as well as the data center use of water, they cannot accommodate the needs of all of this water use. And so they are going to require some additional infrastructure, as well as some additional water supply capacity from outside. In order to accomplish that, we've included their request that the folks here with STAC be required to enter into an agreement with the Water Sewer Authority. And I'll read this so that that everyone can hear what it is the Water Sewer Authority is trying to accomplish. The Douglas County Water and Sewer Authority understands that the use at this site project is being considered in conjunction with one or more additional sites. In all, the proposed use of water and wastewater resources is significant and exceeds the currently planned uses. If the projects receive the local governing authority's approval, In order to minimize the impact of this project's proposed use, the authority has proposed a mix of use of its resources and other resources that will need to be developed. Public water and sewer infrastructure improvements will be required for this project, which shall be installed per the authority's standards and requirements, along with executing any required development agreements. Issuance of permits and certificate of occupancy for this development will be contingent upon installing the infrastructure improvements according to the terms of the development agreements. And then, because we're doing a special use permit, staff has included the 1-year anniversary to have code enforcement go out and inspect the site to make sure everything was done according to our requirements. Not, we'll come back and visit with you on whether to continue. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer.
Chairman, could I? Having to do some Dick Tracy stuff because Ricky Dobbs is in Rome, Italy. Madam Clerk, he would like to know that he voted in favor of.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone, including the applicant or the applicant's representative, that would like to speak in favor will have 2 minutes per person for a total allocated time of 15 minutes. You would approach the podium, and we're using a hand microphone tonight. State your name and address for the record, and then you would have 2 minutes.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. Brett Buckland, 211 Perimeter Center Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you, Commission and Board. I am Brett Buckland, representing Bowler Engineering and Stack Infrastructure. As Phil introed here for our project, we are proposing 2 data center buildings as well as a substation, electrical substation for the project. Did want to just note one item in the summary. It said that we were requesting rezoning to LI, light industrial. We are currently just requesting the triangular residential parcel to go to LIR to match the surrounding zoning. That's the way it's in the staff report and all that. Just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. So it should just be that little triangle going to LIR. And then also, as Phil mentioned, we are part of the data district, the new comprehensive plan. The use is in the spirit and with the intent of the comprehensive plan and the data district. And the substation, as you mentioned, is directly adjacent to the adjacent data center substation, trying to kind of condense those uses, shield them a little bit from any other properties, and kind of keep those right there next to each other. And then we also do have, are meeting the buffer and setback requirements from the adjacent residential properties to the north. So just want to give you guys an intro, and if there's any other questions or anything else you all need, please let us know.
Okay, one thing, as far as the zoning goes, been recommended as is. As far as the special use permit, there are 3 conditions get into the record. Familiar with those conditions?
Yes, sir.
Do you agree to those conditions?
Yes, we do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application, please approach the podium. You would use a hand microphone. State your name and address for the record, sir.
John Brilliant on behalf of the applicant. My home address?
Sure.
Home address?
Your address, yeah.
Yeah. 15004 Seneca Knoll Way, Haymarket, Virginia, so local here. I would just like to request that the applicant has some time to review the language as it relates to condition 3 that was just proposed.
Are you asking us to table this, or?
I believe in the past we've been able to propose some language and maybe move this to the end and see if we can come to some sort of agreement of what that looks like, because we did not get an opportunity to review that prior to this meeting.
Have access to the conditions earlier?
We did not have a chance to review it. Understood.
What is your recommendation? Want us to table it till the end of this meeting?
Yeah,
and-
if
or
that's okay.
Well,
Sure.
okay. Ms. Duncan?
Point of clarification, planning and zoning staff is not going to be amenable to changing that condition at this meeting. That language came to us directly from the Water and Sewer Authority, so I believe it would exceed our authority at the staff level if we wanted to change it. I'm not comfortable doing that at that meeting. Now, if we want to table this application, I'm going to recommend we continue with the public hearing for and against because we've already opened that. And then if you would like to table it to the February meeting, we could do that because again, you have heard them already agree to the condition and now somebody's saying they don't agree to the condition. So that's confusing to me and I would not like to rush this at that time. So.
Thank you very much. What is your recommendation, sir? What is your
I'm
request?
in agreement. If they're not comfortable, we can table it to the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing no one moving, anyone wishing to speak in opposition, I'll close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Seeing no one moving, I will close the public hearing in opposition. At this point in time, planning and zoning staff, do you have any recommendations? Or, Ms. Duncan, should we just go ahead and table it? Or ask the commissioners to table it?
So again, planning and zoning staff is not going to be comfortable changing that language. So if it is the will of the board to table, I believe that meeting would be February 6th. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be February 6th if you are inclined to table this to February 6th. Because we've already had the public hearing, we will not take public comment again at that meeting. Rather, we will just ask you to untable and receive any new information on the conditions at that time.
Exactly. Planning and zoning board, do I have a motion? Could I have a motion to table Z 2023-71, S 2023-72 until February 6th, 6 p.m.?
Brandon Penniman, I make a motion to table both of these agenda items, Z 2023-71 and S 2023-72, until our February 6th meeting.
Or Curry, second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote on the motion. All in favor of tabling, please signify by raising your hand. Very much. Mr. Chairman.
Sir.
Z 2023-71 and S 2023-72 until February the 6th.
Commissioners, we have a vote by the Planning and Zoning Board to table Z 2023-71 S 2023-2. Motion, to have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of tabling Z 2023-71 S 2023-2. Raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion's tabled.
Sir. The next agenda item, Mr. Schaefer.
Next item is M 2024-01 and Z 2024-01 for Adolfo and Chelsea Vega. The requested action is to change the future land use map from workplace center to rural places and rezone from RLD, residential low density, to AG agriculture for a farm located at 6660 North Baggett Road. What they would like to do is they would like to homestead and farm on the property. And as a result of us updating our comprehensive plan last year, we designated this area as part of a campus for the Economic Development Authority in case they were to obtain a mega center, a mega site. So it's been redesignated into workplace center rather than, or workplace campus rather than the rural places that are around it. Obviously, everything that's out there right now is mostly rural and agricultural or very low density residential already. So what staff has come to realize is the request for pens, barns, and animals, it does not hurt the future development of the site, and we would not object to if you were to change the designation for these folks to be able to have a farm at some point in the future. It wouldn't harm whatever we would like to do. The Capitol Hill Authority would come back, and obviously they would be compensated for whatever development came in the future. This is basically holding that project in ag land until that point in time. So here we have one concern, and that is that the site does show a building on it, and I wanted to make sure that the applicants realize that animal pens and barns have setback standards, and so they'll be subject to Section 319. As far as that's concerned, here are the specifics of each type of animal occupying specific types of locations on the property. And here's a zoning of the property showing that everything around it is residential low density on the north side of Highway 78, and on the south there's some industrial and commercial property. This is an aerial of the property in red. This is their site plan. It's quite a large property, so there is room for everything to be housed there. They keep animals and have pens and horses or cows or goats. This is looking to the east along North Baggett Road, and this is looking into the property from Baggett Road. This is what I was talking about in terms of the future land use categorization for workplace campus. That's all of the dark blue color. Their property is right there, kind of at the southeast corner of it. So we would need to change that to rural places so that they could rezone it back out to AG. When you look at the future land use analysis, the property does meet the requirements for this sort of request. And as far as the zoning analysis, again, it would meet the requirements of our criteria. And staff would recommend approval of M 2024-01 to amend the future land use map from workplace center to rural places with the following finding: that while the character of this immediate area has been evolving towards a higher intensity of industrial and commercial development, the scale of this agricultural request does not appear inconsistent with preserving the future uses of the area for redevelopment at some future date, should that become a county imperative, while still accommodating the owner's request for personal agricultural uses. And then staff is also recommending approval of the rezoning in order for them to actually do the use. And it's just with 4 findings that the rezoning, it won't modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Douglas County Unified Development Code. B, the proposed downzoning is generally consistent with the goals and objectives of our comprehensive plan. And C, the permissible uses in the proposed zoning district are also generally compatible with surrounding properties, and granting the rezoning would not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. And then staff recommends approval of the requested rezoning RLD to AG following conditions. 1, the property will be developed in compliance with the setback requirements for animals and animal-related structures as identified in Article 3 of the Unified Development Code. And then number 2, that if they need any other uses on the property that might require a special use permit, that they would come back before us and ask and have those approved rather than just. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application, including the applicant or the applicant's representative, please approach the podium. You'd have 2 minutes per person, total allocated time of 15 minutes. Applicant here. Approach the podium. I need to get you to verify the conditions on the rezoning. Would use the hand mic there. State your name and address for the record.
Chelsea Vega, Adolfo Vega, 6660 North Baggett Road, Douglasville.
You heard the conditions that Mr. Schaefer read into the record. Are you in agreement with those conditions should we approve the rezoning?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing in favor. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? I'll open the public hearing in opposition. No one moving or approaching the podium, I'll close the public hearing on this matter. Planning and Zoning Board, you have heard the staff report and discussion. Do you have any questions of the applicant or of staff?
Rob Thomas, I have a question for staff. If you could put back up the slide just before the conditions. Oh, right there. Had like three conditions. Right there. So the second one.
That's our normal condition, that if you have another use, that you would have to come back before the board, get permission to do those uses. Still require special approval.
So, just for the public knowledge, we make these changes to the future use map, land use map, from workplace center to rural places. So if there's another parcel within that blue area that you showed, and they want to change it, they want to go back to the workplace center, what would happen then?
So it is workplace center now,
Mm-hmm.
and that was in order to accommodate the Economic Development Authority.
Right.
But if someone else wanted to do something different and rezone back out to agricultural or do something in RLD that was something else, everyone has the right to ask for the rezoning. Comprehensive plan and the future land use map are advisory, and they guide us and are guiding our growth, but they are advisory. They are not like zoning, which is parcel by parcel specific and represents actual ordinances.
Okay, so how would this affect someone else in that blue category, that blue area? If
Technically, it shouldn't affect them specifically.
okay. So it's just this particular parcel only? It doesn't affect
Yeah,
anyone else?
doesn't
Just
affect
change?
Correct.
Just this one parcel only to be affected? Okay, I just
Yeah.
want to be clear on that. Yeah, it's 24 acres, but I'm saying it's still one parcel
Right,
within
24 acres out of,
out of a whole lot.
yeah,
right.
we tried to give them 1,200 or so acres.
Right,
together.
right. So it doesn't affect anyone else's, just that one?
Just
okay.
this one.
Just want to make sure I'm clear and the public understands what we're doing too. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, Mr. Chairman. Applicant or staff?
Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions? Have none here, sir.
Very much. Planning and Zoning Board, you have heard the discussion on this matter. Do I have a motion on the map, future land use map amendment only?
Rob Thomas, propose a approval of M 2024-01, request for future use map amendment from workplace center to rural places.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Chairman, this is Kurt. Second that.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of M 2024-01, request for future land use map amendment from workplace center to raising your hand? Unanimous, Mr. Chairman. M 2024-01 comes to you for approval from workplace center to places.
Board of Commissioners, we have a vote from Planning and Zoning to change M 22401 from workplace center to rural places. I have a motion.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. M 2024.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
That being approved, Planning and Zoning Board, do I have a recommendation or motion on Z 2024-01, rezoning from residential low density to AG agricultural?
This is Brandon Penman. I make a motion to approve application Z 2024-01, to a application for rezoning from residential low density to agricultural.
Rob Thomas, a second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? All in favor of Z 2024-01, rezoning from residential low density to agricultural, please signify by raising your hand. Also is unanimous. Chairman,
Sir.
Z 2024-01 comes.
Commissioners, we have a recommendation to change from residential density to agriculture.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve Z 2024.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous, sir.
Very much, sir. Ms. Vega, best of luck to you going forward. Now, Johnson, next item, please.
Good evening, Planning and Zoning Board as well as Board of Commissioners. So the next case I have before you is Z 2024-02, a rezoning. The applicant Ken Rutledge, Douglasville Heating and Air. So the request for a rezoning from RLD, residential low density, to should be general commercial for a heating and air company located at 11341 Veterans Memorial Highway, Douglasville, Georgia 30134. So historically, this site has been zone RA. However, it has had a commercial building on it since 1962. So it's just some old zoning that's being caught up. So there aren't any real planning concerns. Just once again, old zoning being brought up to code. Before you, I have the parcels highlighted in red. There is some residential above it, but below it, general commercial, as well as some heavy commercial. And right across the street is some LI as well. And this is just a area image of the property highlighted in red. And this is a survey of the property. And based on the zoning criteria, it does meet the analysis. Staff is recommending approval of Z 2024-02 from RLD to CG, General Commercial, with the following findings and conditions. Findings: the rezoning will not modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of Douglas County Unified Development Code. The uses permissible in the proposed zoning district are generally compatible with surrounding properties. The character of this area has been evolving towards commercial development for years. The granting of the rezoning will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. And there is one condition: the applicant shall submit to DRC, Development Review Committee, and consideration the specific site development access management plan to address development standards in the UDC and the concerns and the requirements expressed in the specific agency impacts reviewed in the staff reported dated January 9th, 2024. Or in other words, any type of change to the footprint, they will have to come through DRC. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. In favor of this application, the applicant, please approach the podium. Have 2 minutes per person. Total allocated time of 15
minutes. Ken Rutledge, 11341 Veterans Memorial Highway. I am in favor of this. I just want to rezone it from residential to light commercial, heavy commercial, right? Nothing's going to change on the property as it is, already gated and fenced and everything, already has a building on it.
You heard the condition that was read into the record. Are you in agreement with that?
You want to explain that to me a little bit better?
If you make any changes to the building, property,
right,
you would have to development review committee with your plans.
Yeah, I'm agree.
Make sure that everything's according to our code.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? No one moving. I'll close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. In opposition, podium. No one moving, I'll close the public hearing on this matter. Planning and Zoning Board, do you have any questions of staff? Applicant? Have.
Or do you have any questions or comments? Chair Carson.
This is for the applicant, Mr. Rutledge, if you will approach the podium. Mr. Rutledge, are you already conducting the heating and air there, or will this be a new venture? In that
No, ma'am. I've been there for 4, 5, 6 years now.
4, 5, 6 years now. So this is just a cleanup of where you are. Okay. Got
Yes.
you. Got you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I yield, Chairman.
Any other comment?
Sir, Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion. Do I have a motion on Z 2024-02, please?
This is Frank Payne. I recommend request for general company.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Brandon Penniman, a second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving Z 2024-02, please signify by raising your hand. Chairman, Z 2024-02 comes to you with a unanimous recommendation for approval. Residential low density to general commercial. Findings.
Commissioners, we have a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Board. Request for rezoning from R-LD residential low density to heavy commercial. Comments or
Chair Miller, I make a motion to approve Z 2024-02 without the findings and conditions that were written to the record, to request the rezoning from residential low density to general commercial.
motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same. We're unanimous.
Much, Mr. Russell, that you got to your change there. Best of luck to you. Johnson, you have our next item, please.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is S2024-03, special use permit. The applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow a short-term rental located at 4023 Highway 5, Douglasville, 30135. And before you, I have the planning concerns, just simply stating that any short-term rental must have a special use permit, as well as defining what a short-term rental is, any rental for 30 days or less to a single party. And before you, I have the zoning map. Above it is RA. To the east of it is RA, I believe is a church. Directly below it is a heavy commercial and office. And this is just an aerial image of the property as highlighted in red. And this is just a survey of the property. And this is what the parcel looks like facing from Highway 5. And based on analysis, it does meet the special use permit criteria. And based on staff recommends approval for the requested special use permit S2024-03 with the following findings. The use will not substantially modify the land use plan or intent, purpose, or spirit of Douglas County Unified Development Code. Use will not negatively impact surrounding properties. The granting of the special use permit will not adversely affect public health, safety, or Oh, and I also want to add, it is not in the HOA. It's not in the neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone, including the applicant, who would like to speak in favor of this application, please approach the podium. You have 2 minutes per person for an allocated time of 15 minutes.
Chairman, may I interrupt again? Clerk. Favor of, makes unanimous. Thank you.
Is the applicant present? No one wishing to speak in favor, I'll close the public hearing there. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? No one moving. At this point in time, I'll close the public hearing on this matter. Zoning board, do I have a, you've heard the on S 2024-03. Question? Questions of the staff?
Quick question for staff. Does their lack of presence make any difference in our vote?
It does not. If you choose to vote, that is completely within your power. However, if you table it, that is also completely within your power.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Hearing none, throw it over to the commissioners for any questions you folks may have of staff.
Thank you, sir. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, Chairman.
Commissioner Alcaraz.
The applicant was notified this was going to be brought before the board. Correct?
Yes, and he was also at the community information meeting as well.
Zoning board, do I have a motion on S 2024-03?
Mr. Chairman, it's Rob Thomas. I make a recommendation to approve S 2024-03, a request for special use permit to allow for short-term rental located at 4023 Highway 5, Douglas.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. No discussion. I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving S 2024-03 by raising your hand. Chairman, the S 2024-03 comes to you with a four-person recommendation for approval.
Commissioners, do I have a motion on S 2024-03?
Chairman, I make a motion to table S 2024-03 not to be.
I have a motion to table. Do I have a second? That fails. Do I have another motion?
Chairman, I make a motion to deny S 20-03.
Motion to deny. Do I have a second? Fails also. Do we have another motion?
Chairman Miller, I make a motion to approve S 2024-03, a request for a special use permit to allow a short-term rental.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Approve 2020. Motion and a second. All in favor? Yeah. Votes 2-1 in favor. Get wrong. Anyway, I will let you know if that.
Okay, yeah, that's the only thing that is, I have a question about is since Commissioner Dobbs has been participating in the votes, his vote could make a difference in how this goes. So, okay.
Other way real quickly if
Okay, otherwise we'll just continue and we'll just revisit it at the time that we know his vote. I apologize for the delay. We can certainly continue and then just revisit this. Thank you.
Did you hear the last vote? Okay. All right. Commissioner Alcarez voted no to approve S 2024-03, which is Alex Moreno, a request for a special use permit to allow a short-term rental located at 4023 Highway 5, Douglasville, Georgia. There was nobody that opposed it, but the owner of the property was not here. So Commissioner Alcarez made a motion that we table it. It failed. He made a motion that we deny. It failed. Vice Chair Carthen voted to approve. I seconded it, and the vote is 2-1, and it's up to you. Your votes to approve? Okay, we have a 3-1 vote. Back to you, sir.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Dobbs.
Our next agenda item, please. Johnson.
Our next agenda item is Z 2024-04, a rezoning for applicant Mini. I've been saying it right all day. Mildred Friends. The applicant is requesting to rezone a parcel that is currently zoned RA, residential agriculture, to AG agriculture for a farm located at 7950 Connors Road, Villa Rica, Georgia, 30180. The property is on the west side of Connors Road, and it is 22.18 acres in size. There are no major planning concerns. Before you have the parcel is highlighted in red. It is currently surrounded by RMH, residential manufactured homes. It is a manufactured subdivision surrounding the property, as well as to the east of it is a property zone RLD. And just below it is RLD as well, residences. And this is just the aerial image of the property. As you can see, it's currently undeveloped, and the property will be accessed from Connors Road. And this is a survey of the property. And based on the zoning criteria, the applicant does meet the criteria. So staff is recommending approval of the requested rezoning Z 2024-04 from RA to AG with the following findings and conditions. The three conditions are No land clearing or livestock areas are allowed within 50 feet of the creeks on the property. The second condition, no new structures are allowed within 75 feet of the creek on the property. And the third condition is just dedicated right of way of equal to 30 feet for DOT. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone, including the applicant's representative that would like to speak in favor of this application, please approach the podium. You would have 2 minutes per person for a total allocated time of 15 minutes. You would use the handheld microphone.
Basically, we want to just turn it into a farm, and the proposed uses on the agricultural.
State your name and address for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, Minnie Ilgenfritz. And we just want to use it for what the criteria is for the agricultural use.
Okay, and what was your address?
7950 Connors Road.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Approach the podium. Yes, before you go, the condition, you agree with those 3 conditions?
I'm having a hard time reading them. What were they again?
No land clearing or livestock allowed within 50 feet of the creeks on the property. No new structures allowed within 75 feet of the creeks on the property. Right of way along Connors Road is deficient and does not comply with the minimum right of way width for a collector street on the road. Therefore, additional right of way equal to 30 feet from the roadway center line shall be dedicated to Douglas County along the entire property frontage of Connors Road.
What does that third criteria mean? Elaborate that for me.
It means that it is not enough dedicated right of way there.
So
And
it has to go back
yes, right of way needs to move further into the property
30 feet, you said. Okay.
on the center of the road.
Okay. And then there is no creek on the property. So I'm a little confused about that buffer zone, because according to water and sewer, when we talked to them, they said if it's agriculture, it doesn't require any buffer.
So that would have been a condition that came to us in the impact statements, perhaps from our engineering department. So we're going to defer to our engineering department if that's something that they had asked for.
Anyone here from engineering could speak to that?
We don't have anybody from engineering here this evening. Again, I would say that this is the kind of thing that is going to be required under the code anyhow. So if you're not comfortable making a condition of zoning, we can require it at the time of any permitting is to happen, but we would have included that because it would have come to us, from another department, our impact statement. But we're fine moving forward with just condition number 3 if that is the will of the board, because again, number 1 and number 2 are already going to be required under the code. Thank you.
The applicant would reapproach. If we drop condition number 1 and 2 about the creeks, are you in agreement with condition number 3?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? No one moving. I'll close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? No one moving. I'll close the public hearing on this matter. Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion. Do you have any questions of the applicant or staff? Hearing none, Mr. Chairman, I'll throw it for any questions you may have of the applicant or staff.
Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions or comment about Z 2024? Good, sir.
Thank you very much. Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion. Do I have a motion?
Chairman, this is Kurt. Make a motion to
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion, Planning and Zoning Board? I'll call for a vote on Z 2024-04, rezoning from residential agricultural to agriculture with condition number 3. All in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Unanimous. Chairman, I'll send Z 2024-04 over to you for approval of residential agricultural to agriculture with condition.
Board of Commissioners, do I have a motion for Z 2024-04?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve Z condition number 3 provided by staff.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous, sir, I think. Hold on a second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Schaefer, would you present our next item, please, sir?
Mr. Chairman, our next item is Z 2024-05, Wayland Holdings LLC. Requested action is a request to rezone from RLD residential low density to RHD residential high density for a townhome community located on East County Line Road, Lithia Springs, 30122. The parcel is 5.78 acres. The property was previously approved for a 9-lot subdivision, which was authorized by the Board of County Commissioners on July 19th of 2021. Conditions have changed for the applicant, and so they are coming back to request that the RLD be changed to RHD so that they could install a modest-sized set of townhomes. We held the community information meeting on December 12th. There were no neighbors attending that one, and so no concerns were raised at the meeting. Subsequently, staff did receive a couple of emails that expressed concern, but nothing specific, just concerns in general. Here is the proposal for the 23 lots, is what it would look like if it were approved. Planning concerns: the modest increase in density to allow for these additional townhome units does not pose significant concerns to staff. Developments of this type would be expected to grow up around institutional or commercial districts like this in these areas where there are relatively modest-sized lots that are available. They would act then as a buffer between the higher institutional commercial use and the single-family residential way. So this does represent something that staff can support. In terms of the future land use map, it is in the traditional neighborhood area, and the traditional the comprehensive plans approved this past year does in fact allow for limited townhome high density development. So if you have a modest request, not a large request, that is in fact anticipated in the traditional neighborhood area and the future land use category of the urban residential. The map here is the zoning, showing you that next door is the schools to the east, and then this is property that's RLD and surrounded by RA in the areas in light yellow. The aerial is here so that you can see the property, although it has been cleared. This is an older picture, so if you drive by today, you will see clearing and installation of infrastructure. So there's water lines, sewer lines in the ground in anticipation of the 9-lot subdivision. Then here is the proposed plan for the townhome community, zoning sign. This is a picture looking into the property from East County Line Road. Again, here's the entrance. The zoning criteria are all met for the requested rezoning, and staff is recommending approval of rezoning Z 2024-05 from RLD to RHD with the following findings. The rezoning will not modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Douglas County Unified Development Code. B, the proposed zoning is consistent with the comprehensive future land use plan categorization of this property as within the urban residential area incorporating mixed housing types along with commercial and office uses. I do ask for one condition, that the maximum number of units be capped at 23. That keeps it at a modest size, so that if you were to approve this, they would not be allowed to build more than the 23 units. That I conclude my report.
Very much, Mr. Schaefer. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. If anyone, including the applicant or the applicant's representative, would like to speak in favor of the application, You would approach the podium. You have 2 minutes per person for a total allocated time of 15 minutes. You would use the handheld microphone and state your name and address for the record first.
My name is Philomena Wright, and my address is 517 Hubbard Walk, Atlanta, Georgia 30331. And thank you for this opportunity. Yes, our plan is to build 23 units, single-family home, and 2-car garages, 2,400 square foot to 2,600 square foot, a 3 to 4 bedroom, from 3 baths to 3.5 baths. And we meet all the zoning criteria for this area, and the green spaces have been addressed with our plans. We have the children's play area, and we have extra area at the back where people can do barbecue or have recreation for families. And I know the zoning require for 8 units, but we are proposing 4.5 units per acre. So we thank you for this opportunity.
You are in agreement with the condition for 23.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. If you would stand by. If we have any questions, we'll call you back. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? No one? Close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application, please approach the podium. You have 2 minutes per person, total allocated time of 15 minutes. You would state your name and address for the record first, please.
Certainly. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Zeldjilan Boykin, more easily pronounced Z. Boykin. I live at 1505 Old Oak Drive, Lithia Springs, Georgia, 30122. Okay. My concern with this project, and if I could, Ms. Wright, I may ask you a question if I'm able to. East County Line is a street of single-family residences. There are 11 acres across the street from this particular potential development. And my concern with it being zoned from RA to RLD to now RH, or the request for RHD, is that the property adjacent or across the street from that and adjacent to the subdivision that I live in may in the future be zoned the same. I would, like most of the residents in that area, we would like for it to remain single-family detached residences, if that's possible. And I guess my question for the builder would be, why couldn't you just build 23 or 26 or whatever the number is of single-family houses as opposed to a townhome community? I don't understand the need for that, and it could remain zoned RLD, and that could still be.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition, please approach the podium. You have 2 minutes.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Robert Timberlake. I live at 1948 Brennan Way, Lithia Springs, Georgia 30122. I am in opposition because if you look at the map of Lithia Springs, it's predominantly residential. We've kept it residential. Recently, we've had just lots of water work done, all that. We're redoing Lee Road. We just built a movie studio. It's building too fast, and it's starting to push a lot of the residential people out. It's making our streets crowded. We're having a lot of problems already, and this is one of 3 projects just in Lithia Springs already trying to do that. It's just too much. I'm not opposed to them putting houses, but I am opposed to townhouses in general because it's just going to congest everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
My name is Kylie Vick. I live at 1948 Brennan Way. I'm in opposition to this because it's already really congested where we live around the schools, especially during school time when you drop off and pick up. Like taking my children to the park is a 30-minute ordeal, and it's right down the road. So I would preferably not like to have as many people coming in because we already have the construction and everything. But then our water gets turned off and we don't know when it's back on, things like that. Like it's, that whole area is just extremely congested with cars, and going back and forth is hard, going out is hard. It's like, and then it's going to put a burden on the schools, like getting the police officers, because I know y'all use them, for letting people go in and out. It's going to make it harder traffic-wise. I think having the congestion maybe not good for school people and the children crossing the roads right by that, because there's, I believe, 3 schools right in that area. That's why I oppose it.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? No one closing? No one moving? I will close the public hearing in opposition. Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion. Do you have any questions of staff or the applicant?
Rob Thomas, I have a question with the staff and the applicant. So this was initially approved for
Correct.
townhome. Was it townhomes then as
Correct.
well? Okay.
No, they were single-family
Single
detached.
family at that point. Okay. In 2011.
2021.
Okay. So it was 9 single family detached at that point. Okay. Was there any impact on with the impact statement as far as the traffic and or the school system?
The school system submitted, I think they identified a half a dozen additional students coming from.
Say half a dozen?
A half a dozen
Okay.
from this development at various age groups, low, middle, and high. And as far as traffic study, it does not warrant a traffic study as it's so few lots. It's below the threshold that would require significant traffic study to be submitted.
Okay, thank you.
A question?
I do. She's Thank you. Hi. So you were initially approved for 9 single-family residents there.
Yes.
But now you wanted to increase your density through the townhomes.
Yes.
Okay. So question, will these be for sale or for lease?
For sale.
They'll all be for sale?
Yes.
Okay. And you heard the concerns of the neighbors pertaining to the traffic concerns, the impact of children, as well as they rather see single family residents, which it was initially approved for, vice townhomes. What do you say to that? Is any?
I do understand their concerns, but at the same time, we do need our community to continue to grow, and there is a street that is designated into the subdivision that will allow traffic to get in there, in and out. And this type of development is going to bring young family to the area, to bring more children into the school, and also the development in that area. I do believe that the zoning department, they've already looked at the traffic concerns, and otherwise they will not be recommending approval. And I can't remember what other concerns they have. And the other lady talked about building 23 single family homes. It's not possible to bring it, otherwise it's going to be cookie clutter. Although this proposal that this development is going to actually be like 2,400 square foot, is going to almost be like a single family home as well.
So you're saying you can't do 23 single family because there's not enough area, not enough acreage?
No, it's not enough area to do that.
Understand. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, planning and zoning?
I have a question for the applicant. How many, what is the price point for the?
The price is going to be the high 300s to low 400.
How many bedrooms?
3 to 4 bedrooms.
4
and
bedrooms.
3 baths to 3.5 baths. Yes.
Any other questions, planning and zoning board?
I have one quick query here. Is your driveways going to be in the front or in the rear? You know? Because I'm looking at what you proposed is just showing that the driveways are in the front. Are they in the or that's what you're going to go with, the driveways in the front versus in the
The
rear?
driveways are all going to be in the front.
Okay, this is a question.
With the 2-car garage.
Okay, that's all I have.
Any other questions, planning and zoning? Hearing none, I'll yield the floor. Mr.
Board of Commissioners, you have any questions or comments?
The applicant, one more, I have a question. You said they're all going to be two-car garages, correct?
Yes, sir.
And with 3 or 4 bedrooms? And what do you know about, based on your plan, the length of your driveways? Till that comes to how far is the driveway to the front of the house from the road?
I don't think I have that information. I couldn't give you the answer to that.
Okay.
But I can provide that once I speak with the engineer that this is the site plan.
Want to discuss?
My name is Samuel Akin Rotibar, 60 Davies Run Court, Hiram, Georgia. The setback is 25 feet, so the average driveway will be
20 feet. All right, that's the only questions I had. I yield.
Thank you. We're good, sir.
Very much. Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion. Do I have a motion, please, on Z 20-05?
Rob Thomas, I'd like to make a motion to approve Z 2024-05, request for rezoning from RLD, residential low density, to RHD, residential high density, for a townhome community on East County Line Road in Lithia Springs.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion?
Let me restate.
What about the condition?
Let me restate. I'd like to recommend approval of Z 2024-05, a request for rezoning from RLD, residential low density, to RHD, residential high density, for a townhouse community located on East County Line Road, Lithia Springs, with the one condition submitted by staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
I'd like to make
Go ahead.
full housing.
Speak up into the mic, please.
For a housing study.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of approving Z 2024-05, residential low density to residential high density, please signify by raising your hand. Opposed? Much. Z 2024-05 comes recommendation from low density to residential high density with one condition. Vote of 4-3 in favor.
Board of Commissioners comes from the Planning and Zoning Board, approval 4-3 for Z 2024-05, zoning from RLD HD.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve Z 2024-05 with the conditions as read by staff.
Motion, do I have a second? We have a second from Mr. Dodd. Favor? What's your vote, Mr. Dodd? 2-2. Here, the motion failed. We don't have another motion. If you guys have another motion, I'm willing to listen.
The application was denied. Mr. Johnson, you have our next item.
The next application I have before you is Z2024-06. The applicant is Cameron Gorgon. So very similar to the previous application. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from RA, residential agriculture, to residential high density for 24 townhomes located at 1940 Lee Road, Lithia Springs, Georgia, 30122. The subject property fronts Lee Road, and the site itself is 5.39 acres in size. So, planning concerns. So, townhomes and multifamily developments are required to have a amenity area. However, because it is only 24 being proposed, it does not meet the threshold for the minimum 25 dwelling units as stated in section 504F1B. So staff is not recommending a amenity area for this project. And before I have you the zoning map, the property itself is just right around the corner from the previous case. As you can see before you, just to the north of it is light industrial, to the south residential, low density, as well as to the east, and to the west is RA. And this is just the area image of the property. And this is a concept plan as well as a survey. So based on the original submittal for the project, it was accessed through Lee Road. However, it was recommended that they access through the neighborhood to the east of the property. I believe the name of the street was Justine. Since then, the applicant has reached out to DOT, and they have discussed to move the entrance from the neighborhood back to Lee Road. And based on the zoning criteria, it does meet the criteria. Staff is recommending approval of requested rezoning Z2024-06 from RA to RHD with the following findings and conditions. The two conditions being that the maximum number of units will be capped at 24 units in order to maintain the modest scale of development, as well as each internal road shall have a 5-foot wide sidewalk installed with a 4-foot sided median. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Johnson, at this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application, please approach the podium. You would have 2 minutes per person for a total allocated time of 15 minutes. Would, sir, use your hand microphone and state your name and address for the record, and then you've got 2 minutes.
Cameron Grogan, 3343 Peachtree Road, Atlanta, Georgia, 30326. We are okay with the conditions, would not exceed more than 24 units. As Mr. Jaquel said, some discussions with the DOT on entrance, decel lane needed from, in order to enter off of Lee Road. They recommended that we enter through the neighborhood on just from Justine Terrace, which we had a site plan, and quickly realized that that was not a good, didn't want to take their recommendation. So luckily we were able to work with DOT to find a way to go back to entering off of Lee Road. Similar product to the previous applicant, 3 bedrooms, 3 bath, 2-car garage. We meet all the conditions, or not only conditions, all the code, the driveway width, driveway length, open space, mail kiosk, really our objective here is just to provide a more affordable, attainable housing product. We could go here and build 5 homes and they would be $700,000 a piece. We have those, you have those in Douglas County. This is a product that is attainable for young families starting out. They can't all go buy a half-acre lot, single-family home. So we've been successful providing this product throughout other neighborhoods, and we hope that we can bring it to Douglas County.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? No one moving. I'll close. Oh. Okay. In favor. I'm not in opposition. Favor of this application. Stand by. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing in favor and now open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition, please approach the podium. You would have 2 minutes per person for an allocated time of 15 minutes. State your name and address for the record for us, then you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir, and good evening to everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Faye Cheney, and I live at 2415 Justine Terrace. My current home site adjoins this property, and the reason I oppose this at the first, and I don't see it stated up there as a condition, I hear it, but I would like for it to be stated as a condition that the roadway is constructed from Lee Road, and it does not enter into the Leisure Acre neighborhood, and it does not bypass my house. That's the concern I have with this. Trying to build a new community coming in and out of our old community. Our streets are already in disarray from construction work that's been ongoing from the summer. And if you start bringing in heavy equipment, what will our roadway look like in a matter of weeks? So please add a condition that this townhome community will enter and exit from Lee Road, not via Justine Terrace, the Leisure Acre subdivision. I appreciate your time.
That was Justine Terrace. Anyone else wish? Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Hi, my name is Miracle Shet, and my address is 2396 Justine Terrace. I also agree that it would be nice to see that it's a condition that they will not try to access our community. The bigger concern, though, is that with this community being 24 units, 2 cars each, that's 48 cars now on the road, letting out into an already very congested intersection right there where the schools are. It seems that it's going to cause more chaos for those that are already living in that area. So I oppose the building of the units primarily because of that. But also, as it was previously mentioned, there has been a lot of construction on Lee Road. There's been a lot of construction in our particular neighborhood of Leisure Acres. And my concern is what happens with water runoff, debris. I have small children that play in the area. There were days where there were dust in the air for days. So our quality of life has changed because of the construction. Now to add another project that's going to add how many more months, it's a concern for me and my family. So that's my point. Thank you.
Much. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition, approach the podium.
My name is.
You're good.
My name is David Sanders, and I live at 1955 Chateau Lane, Lithia Springs, and I have lived there since 1983. I don't have any objections to the construction of housing for people, but I do take exception if this project impacts my community. And this community will be adversely impacted if you bring the road through Leisure Acres. I heard the two previous opposition speakers talk of 48 cars. Well, that is just the beginning. Every vehicle that comes in there, whether it be a garbage truck or a water delivery truck or UPS truck, or every other traffic comes into that neighborhood. And I want to tell you, I don't believe that there's been anything changed in that area that would cause the current zoning for that property to not be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Again, Robert Timberlake, 1948 Brennan Way, Lithia Springs, Georgia. I live right off of Justine Terrace. So just as an example, last night we had somebody's house catch on fire in our neighborhood, and fire trucks had to come through, and nobody was able to leave our neighborhood for 4.5 hours. Just in general, like that was just that one thing. Somebody's kitchen caught on fire. We were trapped completely. Let there be traffic buildup from them coming through our neighborhood, a wreck, somebody rear-ends each other. We're stuck because they're not going to have another exit from their neighborhood. And two, as it already is, Lee Road's already horribly congested. Our traffic lights there are really bad. And he says, are these for sale or for lease?
But
I'm sorry.
talk with us.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. He didn't state if they were for sale or for lease, which is a concern to me because as a homeowner for 5 years, I bought my house when I was 21. I had no issues buying a house young, even though I paid $350,000 for mine. I don't see how that's a valid argument for building townhomes for younger people when I worked 2 jobs to buy my house by myself. I don't like that as an argument. That's a load of crap. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Kylie Vick, 1948 Brennan Way. I just have I wrote some bullet points this time. I'm opposed because it would increase our school and property taxes. It would increase the congestion on an already congested road. I do believe it would cause danger to our children who play in the streets in our little cul-de-sac, and having more cars in there is dangerous. We have buses that have a difficult time getting in and out, and having more cars put pressure on the bus drivers when they're letting kids out wouldn't be a very great idea in my opinion. The pollution, my daughter loves to go outside every day and play. That's her favorite thing. And some days we can't go outside, and it's really hard for her because she's on the spectrum. So hearing she can't do that makes her very upset. I'm also concerned about the deforestation it would cause. We already have a lot of silt and things because there aren't enough roots containing it, causing us to slope. We are expanding too quickly in that area. We have a lot of construction, and adding more construction I would appreciate to not have as much because it'd be nice for one project to come to a stop before continuing other big projects. And then the increased burden of teachers in classrooms having more children. And then the potential to have more high density areas be added because this became a high density area, which is not something I as a resident would like because it's already too congested and crowded in that area, especially not knowing when the construction on Lee Road will end. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Approach the podium. State your name and address, and you have 2 minutes.
All right. My name is Maria Heck, 2405 Justin Terrace, Lithia Springs, Leisure Acre subdivision. I don't oppose the townhomes. However, as others have stated, I'd like to see it up there in writing that, in fact, the DOT says and the Mr. Cameron Rogan says in writing that it is not coming through our neighborhood, that in fact it is egressing out of the road. I am concerned because It is, like stated, an old neighborhood, and I don't think that the road structure really can take that added traffic. The other thing is we don't have speed bumps, which we don't need, but it's just a concern with that increase in traffic or cars or more, that it would be speeding. I would like to see it writing though.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
It's Felicia Link. I live at 2403 Chateau Court, Lithia Springs, 30122. And the housing condo project will be right behind my house. They're going to put something up. I want a barrier separated. And another thing, it's a school, 2 schools. We won't be able to get out of our neighborhood because we already have problems getting out the neighborhood. And with more cars, more housing, take us a year to get out of our own neighborhood. I mean, it's turning at the light. We have to rush out and then move up to let the car behind us in our neighborhood get out there so they can turn. If we don't do that, they won't be able to get out. But if we have other townhomes right in the back of the neighborhood, in front of it anyways, we'll never get out of our neighborhood. And it's crazy. I'm not for it at all. And I've been there a long time.
Okay.
And I'm not for it.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any other, anybody else wishing to speak in opposition? That's our time going. 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah, but you have 2, sir.
Huh? Okay.
You have 2.
Okay, perfect. Hello, my name is Justin Chateau. I live at 2396 Justine Terrace. I just wanted to voice my concerns. I saw from the picture earlier that the entrance was moved from Justine Terrace off to Lee Road. My main concerns are the deforestation in the area. We have a lot of construction going on, in the area. You could tell by the wildlife, birds and stuff like that is coming more out, coyotes, into the neighborhoods and stuff. So that was one of my concerns, the traffic coming in and out of the neighborhood. It's a very busy intersection, and our neighborhood is one way in, one way out. What was my other concern? I forgot it that quick, but basically the ongoing construction, with Lee Road being widened and everything like that, we can't even finish the initial construction that was there, So right now with the 2 offers of townhomes being built in the area is kind of like overwhelming. So that's my concerns. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much for your comments, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Teresa Kirby. I live at 1972 Brennan Way, Lithia Spring 30122. And I'm not opposed of expanding, but I think they need to find some other direction, bringing all that traffic somewhere else, because coming out our subdivision, coming into our subdivision, it's already dangerous enough. Me turning into my subdivision, I got hit, total my truck. So now you adding more traffic. So if they can find a way to redirect a lot of this traffic, maybe put a traffic light coming out of our subdivision, because we don't have stop signs. Now, second, I'm hoping they don't bring a retainer behind our subdivision, into our subdivision, to catch some of the flow of water or what might. We have little children that begin to live. They are. Now you got this retainer, they might fall in. Take all this into consideration, factor all of this in. Let's find a mutual ground to get this done. But I really oppose a lot of this traffic, that they could put a light coming out of our subdivision. instead of a stop sign.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? How much time do we have? 3 minutes.
My name is Deborah White. I live at 2365 Justine Terrace, Lithia Springs, Georgia, 30122. And I just wanted to come out to support my neighbors because, I mean, I understood what the young man said about they have switched to having, you know, everything going onto Lee Road. But like my neighbor said, we done had so much work done in our neighborhood. I mean, we got one way in and one way out. And I don't know if y'all ever heard the phrase they have in church. They darn a church with one door. It's like, hey, darn a place where we live in, with one way in and one way out. We just need a little space. I'm early retirement. I want to enjoy it. My mom's retired. She's 87. We just bought this house. So the neighborhood is nice. It's quiet. And like they say, we do have, I mean, I'm from Riviera Beach in Florida. And I ain't never seen a deer out there grazing in my backyard, okay? I try to figure out how he got across the fence. But anyway, I'm seeing all these unusual little fox. He just walked down the road. I'd like to have a heart attack. But please, if y'all could just, if they could just keep it on Lee Road, I really would appreciate it. Thank y'all for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? I think we have 1 minute left. No one moving. I'll close the public hearing in opposition. And Planning and Zoning Board, questions, comments? Do you have any questions? Applicant.
Oh, Chris, to staff. So I know you heard most of the residents' opposition, not for the building, but for the road. So just to confirm, they will be coming off Lee Road versus going through the subdivision. Because I know they're talking about having the conditions or added into it. So I just want to, get that on the record.
So as of now, based on the current concept plan, it does come off of Lee Road. It can be added as a condition if you so choose to. You can add that in as a condition to the case.
Well, I think we need to look at adding that into as a condition so that it gives the residents the comfortability knowing that it will not come through their subdivision.
Okay.
You can make that condition recommendation.
Okay.
Oh, an emotion.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, Planning and Zoning Board of staff or applicant?
I had a question for the applicant. So you heard many concerns from the neighbors. I think the question I have, and it's like I asked the other applicant, is this going to be for rent or for sale or both?
We believe that there's a need for both. We try not to have any restrictions to rent. If you guys would like to discuss or make a motion, we understand and we can discuss that. But we think there's a need for rent and for sales. We'd like to.
Will this have HOA set up in there?
Absolutely, yes.
So you haven't made a determination, rent or for sale yet?
We have not, and I will say if it's for rent, it would be all for rent. It would not be, which would be managed by a management company, and it wouldn't be, we'll rent one, maybe that guy cuts his grass.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
So one or the other. Okay. What about the other concerns? Traffic. and obviously the egress and ingress of the property?
Yeah, so first of all, on the egress ingress, absolutely to just egress and ingress limited to Lee Road. I'm sorry that I even ever had a site plan that showed it coming off Justine Terrace. So I'm happy to do that. It would be full access, lined up with the egress ingress to the school. So some residents would be taking a right and going north on Lee Road. Some would be taking a left and going south. So absolutely on that. And then the traffic, I think, was another concern I heard a lot of, and wanted to just kind of, I think the improvements that have been going on Lee Road for so long, I think probably has some of this, probably extra congestion. There's extra, I understand living, near a work zone, so totally get that. I think improving it and widening it to 4 lanes, it sounds like it was a definite need. So I think it's only going to get better, right? And I know it looks to be coming to an end. I also wanted to say, as far as congestion goes and lining up with the construction of Lee Road, is we're probably 12 to 18 months away from starting out here. If we have a successful rezone tonight, we have to engineer it. We would have to permit it in Douglas County. So this is not going to be a thing that starts right away. And I think we could probably, a lot of the congestion caused by the construction zone right now would be alleviated.
Thank you. That's the only question I have. Hold on, we may have some other questions.
I have one. Now, on the back buffer.
Glad you asked that. I wanted to bring that up. So we have a 40-foot buffer around the property already. And then the lot size, we meet the conditions on the building size, and then the lot size, 24 feet wide by 100 feet deep. And by reducing the site to 24 units, we actually have additional that's just kind of extra. So I took a measurement from the back property line to really the build, like your first townhome, right? So if you're at your property line, if one of these neighbors lives along the property, it's about 75 feet to where the back of the townhome is. So that's a 40-foot buffer, and then about 15 feet of just that extra, and then another, I think, 20 feet like backyard. My math come out, yeah.
Fenced in, or?
We don't have, I know, Allison, you'd mentioned that would be something as permitting, right? That we would probably be required to put a fence. Right now, there's no, we haven't made there's not one on the site plan, but again, if that would be made a condition, having a privacy fence somewhere, whether it's on the property line or the buffer, but we would be okay with a privacy fence along residences. Not along the not along the right of way of Lee Road or anything like that, maybe, but where we adjoin with a residence.
Okay, Ord Curry here. Since we have not been able to make a determination if this is going to be rent or for sale, what is if it was for rent or for sale, what would be the price point either way?
Yep. So for rent, we'd be about $1,800 to $2,200 a month, and for sale would be in that mid-3.
That's all I have.
Any other questions, planning and zoning? And I believe some of these things, as far as the perimeter, that's going to be handled in DRC. That'll have to meet our code.
Hold on. One other question. So if you went with the rental, you would continue to own them, or you open up to investors to purchase and then rent it?
We would open it up to perhaps one investor, right? It would be one plat. Does that make sense? So it'd be one plat, so it wouldn't be able to be one investor comes and buys 5. It would be one asset, whether we owned it or we were to sell it down the road when it was all rented out. Somebody would have to buy the entire property.
Hearing none. We've closed the public hearing
It's
on this
closed.
matter. I'm sorry. And I'll throw the questions over to the Board of Commissioners. Anything you may wish to ask.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Vice Chair Carson.
Question is developer, but it's for DOT. Director Rana. So, Director Rana, you have heard our constituents tonight in regards to the traffic and the concerns of Lee Road, even their subdivisions. What is your department doing in terms of the road conditions and the traffic? And I know it's Douglas County's progress, right? But in the meantime, people do live in the area. They do have to access, Lee Road and other areas. So how are we mitigating that?
Good evening, everyone. So Lee Road project is county's biggest project as of right now, with the sole purpose of alleviating congestion. The road in itself, it's roughly 2.75 miles of construction, horizontal construction that we've got underway, and roughly $10 million of utility relocation site. So I understand the inconvenience that it brings, but when this project's finished, the goal is to add enough capacity for the next 20 years to accommodate the existing traffic and the predicted or potential growth that's coming to the county. So that being said, I understand the inconvenience. We are meeting bi-weekly with contractors, utility contractors involved in the project to minimize these inconveniences and make sure citizens are getting the access they need to continue their daily activity, basically. And like the developer just said, it's only going to get better as you see road beds that are getting ready to be opened soon with staging as the construction project progresses, and eventually when the road opens up, it's all going to be accommodating to increasing congestion levels. So for the interim levels, we're working with everybody involved in the project to minimize inconvenience. And end of the day, when the project's finished, we hope to have enough capacity.
And my next question is, I heard a constituent state that she had water turned off. Do we give notice to people about the water being turned off so they can, one, know beforehand so that they can prepare, and then two, when the water would come back on?
Yes, so that work is mainly done by utility companies. So in this case, it would be WSA that would change the water lines, disconnect the old ones, reconnect the new ones. But it's their usual practice to get advance notice, leave flyers at doors, let people know about incoming discontinuations of service. And that's across the board from internet to water services. If that was to happen, we expect these companies to provide advance.
So if a constituent experiences no water or no internet, what is the best recourse? Are they to call you, or are they to call WSA?
So the first thing is they, of course, have to contact the relevant agency, whether it be WSA or any of the private providers for different utilities. But if you see it being construction related, we've got a container on site, we've got a DOT mailbox that typically responds within hours. Feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to coordinate that request for you and get the right agency to correct any errors or any discontinuation that may have happened on site.
Thank you. To the constituents who are listening, this is an education process, right? We all want the widening of Lee Road because we know it will alleviate congestion and traffic. But in terms of if there are any areas or issues that you come upon, please feel free to reach out to your chairman. No, I'm just kidding. You can reach out to any of us, right? And we will get staff and we will help to facilitate that. Although we don't have anything to do with Douglas County Water and Sewer Authority, we do have great relationships with them. So we can, help to facilitate those. So that's how you use your Board of Commissioners in that sense. Thank you, Director Rana.
Thank you.
And to the developer, Mr. Grogan. What will determine if this project is for sale or for rent? Because a lot of people would like.
Yeah, it would. And again, with it being such a long process, right, for, permitting for 6 months or designing for 6 months and permitting for 12 months, it's going to be a market determination, right? What is the market at that time, right? Right now, it could be something different with interest rates of 7%. it is different, right? And if they go down to 5-6%, then it could, so it's really a market thing at the time when they come to market. So, but again.
Thank you. I yield, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, zoning board, you've heard the discussion. Do I have a motion on Z 2024-06?
All right, I'm going to try to take a stab at this. All right, so I make a motion to approve application Z 2024-06 with the added condition that it be written in that there be no interest from Justine Road and that there will be a buffer or retainer wall or some type of fence around the property line once approved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
That motion.
My motion is that we approve application Z 2024-06 with the condition that it be in writing that there be no interest from Justine Road and that there will be some form of buffer or retainer wall or fence around the property line, your property line, in addition to the conditions that are already mentioned by staff.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Chairman.
Any other discussion, planning and zoning? At this point in time, I'll call for a vote on Z 2024-06 to approve the rezoning from residential agricultural to residential high density with the conditions that were stated. All in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed? Z 2024-06 comes to you with a negative recommendation of 5-3 to deny rezoning from residential agricultural to residential high density.
Commissioners, planning and zoning comes to us with a no vote, a 5-2 vote not in favor of the motion to rezone from RA to RHD on Z 2024-06. I have a motion from you.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve Z 2024-06 with the condition that the entrance to this new subdivision will not come through Justine Terrace. It will only come off of Lee Road. That there needs to be a retaining wall around access to the property along where the residential and the new residential meet, and with the conditions as read and approved by the applicant.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Mr. Dobbs? Commissioner Dobbs, can you hear me? We do not have a second. Do I have another motion?
Chairman, I make a motion to deny Z 2024-06.
I have a motion to deny Z 2024-06. Do I have a second? Mr. Dobbs? We have a motion and a second. Yes, sir. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of Is there any further discussion? We have discussion from Vice Chair Carthy.
Thank you. Just again, because I have so many people here, I always like to take the time to educate the constituents and my colleagues as well, because we do have a lot of new ones here. Douglas County is growing, and we don't have enough housing for new families to come in. Basically, because our seniors are still living in their homes because they can't afford to move out of their homes, so that those homes can be freed up for new families to come in. So one, yes, we do need senior housing, but we also need affordable and attainable houses for young new families to come in. So again, you know, I loved the fact that you all came out. Your concerns were very legitimate. They're the same concerns that I would have had it been, you know, in my neighborhood. But I also want to make sure that we understand commercial development brings a lot of tax base. But residential development, for my colleague on the end down here, it does bring in tax basis because you have people who are going to pay their taxes. They're going to stop at the gas stations. They're going to shop at the grocery stores. So then that allows us to have our lost sales tax, which lowers our property tax as citizens. So again, this is just an education piece. It's not to beat up on anybody. It's just to let you all know when you see development, one development versus another, they both serve a purpose, and we are here to, you know, be one Douglas. That's our mission, one Douglas. I yield, Chairman.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to deny Z 2024-06. All in favor, raise your hand. Mr. Dobbs. All opposed. Motion carries 3-1.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I believe that is all that we have on our agenda tonight. If we could take a minute here, I'd like to add, we appreciate the citizens coming in and letting their opinions be known to the boards. Also, Mr. Johnson, would you stand up, please, and come to the podium? It is, we have learned tonight that Mr. Johnson, this will be his last meeting. He will be leaving the employment of Douglas County, and I just wanted, on behalf of the board, to thank you for your service to the county, and know that we will miss you. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone up here. It truly does touch my heart, and I truly do love Douglas County. This is an amazing place.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, we will adjourn the Planning and Zoning Board meeting and turn it over to Board of Commissioners.
Any further comments? Dobbs.